We're going to talk through this Star Battle Pentominous combination from Grant. It uses some pentominous steps at the start and then generally actually becomes a Star Battle puzzle. Some things to note, X and Z are shapes that fit within a 3x3 box. In the case of this Z, if it's in a 3x3 box, this is that 3x3 box. It'll always use the center and the two corners, which we can determine from the start. And then to avoid this Z over here, it's going to end up being this orientation of this shape. This Z also needs to be in a 3x3 box. It's never going to use a center edge in this sort of shape, in part because we know that we're going to need to have a pentomino coming out this way. Note that I don't mark the pentomino starting in the cell because this cell can potentially be a star, but a cell like this can't be a star. It would strand a single cell in that area. So with this, again, as a Z that's in a corner, part of a 3x3 box, the only Z it can be is this one. We'll actually write in the letters because it will help us see these divides better. We get at least these 4 cells in this row are part of a pentomino. We can also at the bottom mark off this X, also a 3x3 box for that shape. X can't be in a center cell, so this is one of the edge cells, so the center has to be one away. This is the only possible center. And mark this in, and this will reveal for us our first star location. I'll just use a circle for it. If you want to draw the full star, that's fine. What we now have is a starting point for a grid to mark in places where we know generally where stars will sit. In the second column, we know that a star will sit in one of these 2 cells, one of these 2 cells, and that will make unusable these cells just next to it. Similarly, up here we have 6 of the 10 cells used, and so the remaining 4 have to contain the last stars for these spaces. What we'll see is that we have 3 spots left in this row for a potential star. That's going to come up pretty soon as a way to move forward. Another thing to look at, this often in sets of 2 rows. We should be aware that stars take the single cell, but they effectively block off a 2x2 type region. And so and you'll see the same rule in Star Battle puzzles. Anytime we've already knocked out a 2x2 box and a 10x10 grid, we're left with 1, 2, 3, 4 places for stars remaining in this column. And why that's important is we actually find that in this top spot where we know that we have a star in one of these cells in column 4, there's only one of these 2 cells we can use, and that's because, again, this is going to be a connected pentominous puzzle except for the stars. So if the star were down here and stranded that cell as a single one, it's not part of any pentomino, and that would cause an issue. So the most critical next star after this star is a star in this cell here. It makes this cell to its upper left part of a pentomino. And now in this row we'd highlighted earlier, we have 2 spaces left for potential stars. So I'll mark those in, put in the starts of some pentominos. These stars are going to have to move to the right to avoid this one. Also get some starts to pentominos. Mark that as a cell that's not part of a pentomino. We have 2 stars now in this column, so that's going to finish out that column so we can start seeing it here. We have no stars in this 3rd column, but we also have just 2 spaces left for it. So these are quickly marked. Note that we now have finished the bottom row. So the star option like this now has to be in the 2nd row, and these actually push also to the right. So that star is forced here. Same kind of thinking applies now to this one. These cells are deleted. This cell from below is deleted. There's one option left for this star. This star has to come up, but now we finish this column, so it also goes left. So we fill out those columns rather quickly. This placement of a star here also forces these stars in column 2. So what we can now start to do is try to sketch in the actual pentominos in the space. After we feed in some of these together, we'll see that these 2 groups that are now 3 in size can't come together. So This one has to take at least one more cell down. It can't join to this one that has 2 cells. It would become too large. So you get something like this. These two can't come together, so that's going to move over like so. We need to get another star in column 6. We have just one there so far. This is the only cell that's left that's viable. Get the star of this pentomino. It can't merge with this U shape because it's right next to a U on the left, so this is the shape of those cells. It's now worth, at this stage, marking off essentially where we have remaining stars to fill, and really let's do this by the columns. We need 2 stars in this column. It can't be in this bottom row, so the only 2 spaces are here. We still need a star in this column, and the only 2 spaces are in these rows. You can mark these as all finished, at least by stars. We're going to get a star somewhere here, and we need a 4th star in this set of 2 rows. We have 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. Having marked this in this column, these stars come over to the left. And now the rest of the puzzle is just going to be filling in pentominoes as we know them. This cell can't come up, it would form another U shape, so it's going to come over like this. We have this U with 2 letters seated at the start of the puzzle. It could have taken a lot of forms. It is blocked off from doing things like this. So these 2 in the U are not on the ends. They actually be part of the long stretch that has 3 letters, the long part of the U. This is the only way the U can go. That marks off the last stars. Get an F, get a P, get another F. Get to this end, see that these 2 aren't going to join themselves, so this has to take at least one more, this has to take at least one more. If this comes all the way up and takes these cells, it forms another L shape, that's not allowed. If this takes this, it forms another N shape, that's not allowed, and we get to the final unique answer. So here the setup of the puzzle is clever by Grant. It really just takes some seeds from some pentomino shapes and then really just gets into a Star Battle-like deduction of how do you place stars in specific groups. The most critical ones were column 4 and 5, and needing to form pentomino shapes, we got an exclusion which put a star here, which put these as the stars in the 2nd row, and from there we got all the stars, and then finally all the pentomino shapes. So a pretty cute one-off puzzle. Hope you learned something from this solving video, and we'll see you again soon.